I am so happy to be back at the Velvet Note. I've been looking forward to this all week, and here we are. Josh and I want to share another original song with you now. Windjammer? Yeah? This is one of Josh's songs. I always want to confirm before I start playing one of his songs. I love this song. Over the years, it's become one of our favorites to play here at Roman Street. It's one of those. It's attached to a good memory for us, like a lot of our songs. This one, for me, is about riding jet skis in St. Lucia with this guy right here. It's not a very green entertainment activity. We're just burning gasoline in these jet skis, literally in the Caribbean. It's about riding jet skis. No, but it's technically challenging. It sounds great. I mean, I don't know. It's just fun to play. So we hope you guys like this one. It's called Windjammer. Put fresh strings on this guitar for you guys tonight. That's a term of endearment in the guitar player's world. If you get fresh strings, that means you're important. They love you for it.
So I think this song we're about to do is a song called Cortado, and I think this is our bass player Quentin's favorite song that we do. Is that right? One of our favorites. So we're going to do that for you guys. And this is one of Noah's tunes. I'm about to play for y'all now.
Y'all enjoy. jazzy song now called Mr. Morris. For you, Mr. Dave Duncan. I know that, yeah, anywhere. you so much. So we're gonna try something out on y'all. See what you think.
I know what you're thinking. What the hell is going on right now?
Blasphemy. You might like it. Don't teach me, man. So we've been playing a little electric guitar here recently, and we thought it might be fun just to slide a few tunes in, see what you guys think. These are some original songs that we've been playing on acoustics for years and composed on the acoustics, and I don't know. See what you think. This one we're gonna play Elizabeth first, no?
Yeah, well, we thought to do this because, oh, thank you. So this tune, Elizabeth, this is the first song that really the first song I've ever written. I was about 16, 17 years old, and Noah and I just started playing music. Oh, that's nice. We just started playing music.
It's your background music.
We just started playing music together, and I actually recorded the studio track with an electric. And so it's kind of something I've always wanted to do. And so Noah and I are going to try this one out for you guys. Here's Elizabeth. dudes.
Is everybody good?
Okay, so these next two songs we're going to play for you are our newest tracks. We actually came up with both of these this year. This first one, I got to give a big shout out to our drummer Brian, because he wrote this one.
From the mind of Brian Morris, y'all.
We love Brian, and he is such an incredible musician, and he's been telling us for years, really, that he has a lot of these tracks that he's written over the years that he's wanted Noah and I to play on, and so he sent us this one, and Noah and I just fell in love with it. So we added our guitar stuff to it, and it came together, and this song is called Key to Paradise.
On the bass, y'all. guys so much. That's been a great song for us this year. It was in the Billboard Top 25 for about 4 months there, and nationwide, y'all. So we were proud of that, and a lot of people heard it, and it's super fun to play. I hope you could tell. We have fun. This next one, I'll let Josh introduce it, but I'm just excited that it is coming out today. Mm-hmm. Today was the official release. Mm-hmm. Worldwide, all the streaming services and everything. Today's the day. And
this is actually going to be the first time we've ever played it live. So y'all will be the first to hear this song ever, anywhere.
And if you like it, you can stream it in your car on the way home.
That's right. That's right.
For the first time, today.
Yeah. So this song, I don't really have much of a story for this song, except the only thing I can think of was when I first came up with this. My first thing that I ever do whenever I come up with something is I show Noah. And then when I played it for him, he was like, kind of sounds like something from like Zorro. Like it'd be in like a Zorro movie or something like that. And that was his response. I was like, oh, that's not bad. And so we actually called this song just Zorro for a long time while we were recording it. And so anyways, eventually I was like, I have to come up with a name. I can't call it Zorro. And so I ended up naming this song. We play a lot down in the 30A area, Destin, Rosemary Beach, places like that, and we draw a lot of inspiration from there. And one of the places we played our first jazz festival was in Santa Rosa County. And so anyways, it was the Seabreeze Jazz Festival. Have any of y'all ever been there by chance? It's an amazing jazz festival that we've played about 5 times, and the first time was in Santa Rosa. So anyways, I thought about that, and I ended up using that to name this song. This song is called Santa Rosa Moon.
Zorro. It's good, Zorro. We haven't hardly played that since the studio, so that was fun. I liked it. Zorro! No, literally the computer file name for that song for whatever, how many weeks we were working on it was Zorro version 1, version 2, Zorro version 3. Mask of Zorro, Mark of Zorro. Man, they have good wine at the Velvet Note, I must say. I love it.
You need more.
I'm good with that. Sheila takes great care of us, so thank you, Sheila, wherever you are. It's just never empty.
We have to pace it, or by the time we get to the second show, it's going to be...
Yeah.
The quality of the show will take a nosedive.
Or the length of my stories gets longer.
Yeah, it's more talking than...
Is everybody good? Does anybody have any questions? Comments? I know I recognize many faces in here, so thank you guys so much for coming back to support us. We really appreciate it. We haven't been to the Atlanta area in a while, and you guys are the reason we kept coming back, so thank you. No questions. This is rare.
Oh, okay, that's a good question.
I got this at the pawn shop. This is actually by a Mexican luthier. His name is Herman Vasquez Rubio. He has a shop in LA, and Josh and I went there. We were playing at the Catalina Jazz Festival several years ago. We had heard about this guy, and we went on a day early with the intention of going to his shop. And I loved his guitars. He was a cool guy. He's very down to earth, even though he makes world-class instruments. He let us back in his shop. We saw all of his tools, and we played a bunch of his guitars. And so I decided then I wanted to buy one, and bought one, and put a pickup in it, and here it is.
You know, I don't know what this is. I was just looking in here to read it off to you. This guitar is really old. This is actually one of the first guitars that I owned, and the label on the inside is worn. I can't even read it anymore. But I know it was a family called Prudencio, I believe. There's one of like a handful of flamenco guitar building families that are still, making guitars today.
I'm pretty sure that guitar is 1,000 years old.
It's really old.
It's a relic.
It is a relic.
It's That makes it sexier,
Yeah, you do.
To me, anyway.
So I think we're going to play a Motown song. Anybody like Motown? Any Motown fans? Cool. Well, we come from a Motown household. Both of our parents were super into the genre, so when I were growing up, it was always playing in the house. And this next one is one of my personal favorites. It's called I'll Be Around.
Acoustic version, of course. Yeah, the comment was this gentleman said we sound like we should be playing in Barcelona, and if we had ever been there. And I love Barcelona personally. I've only been twice, but Josh has a song. Maybe we'll play it for you a little bit later. It's not on the set list, but for whatever reason, this song transports me immediately to La Ramblas in Barcelona. It's like the pedestrian mall where all the little shops are, and you can have your cava at 1 o'clock. It's just fantastic. But
Warm Paris.
yeah, it's like hot Paris. They both smell equally as bad, but yes, hot Paris. Yeah, see what you guys think about this little Motown arrangement.
Got any requests? Any requests? Anybody? We just got a request from our bass player, actually, so that works.
Had one earlier.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Josh, I just said free bird.
Free bird. Oh, we can do that too. We got them all.
Has Brenda heard this one? Everybody loves this song. This one is not super creatively named. It's called Cinco, which for those of my Spanish speakers know that just means the number 5. But it's a fun little song, and it sounds a little bit like this. Yep. 1, 2, 3. This is not Brian's first gig, sir. He is consummate professional. Brian, how many gigs do you think you've played in your life, man?
I don't even want to.
I mean, it's in the thousands.
I'm old, man.
He's been playing since he was 5 years old, literally, in a public setting, on gigs. Which is cool. I like to tell this story about their family. So, Brian is from Brian Morris, the Morris family, but they're a super musical family in our hometown of Mobile. They've been making music in every corner of our town, it seems like, for generations. Very well respected. Their father was a saxophone player. And in a roundabout way, their father's best friend is another saxophone player named Joe Lewis, who is directly responsible for Josh and I playing the style of music that we do, because he was invited to go to Switzerland, 25 years ago, and he sat in on a stage with two guitar players who would ultimately become Josh and I's teachers. And he invited them to come back to Mobile, and the story goes, we were greatly inspired by their playing, and now we've been doing this for 15 years.
Longer than that.
Longer than that, even. Yeah. Yeah.
Joe Lewis,
Yeah, it's all,
he brought us all together.
it's amazing. It was really the story, how it all came together. But yeah, so I think we have time for, well, speaking of Europe,
Yeah, right.
this is a song that we picked up over there.
Yeah, our teachers, who we know through Joe Lewis, we try and do a very similar thing to what they play, but they do a lot of gypsy jazz, and that's kind of the first stuff that Noah and I heard them play, and we just fell in love with it like immediately. And this song is probably arguably the most famous gypsy jazz song there is. It's called Minor Swing, from a legendary guitarist named Django Reinhardt. And I think this is going to be our last song that we have for you guys, so thank y'all so much for coming to see us play.
Stay for the next show.
Yeah, that's right. Just come back. Just stay there, actually. Just stay right there.
There will be people outside when you leave who will willingly sell their tickets, I'm sure. I'll be here all night. Minor Swing. Minor Swing? Okay. All right. 1, 2, oh. Before we get going, how about one hand round of applause from New Orleans, Louisiana, on the bass guitar, my man, Mr. Quentin Ayers. On the drums, as I mentioned, from Mobile, Alabama, the legendary Mr. Brian Morris. My name's Noah, this is my brother Josh, and this is our attempt at Django Reinhardt's Minor Swing. appreciate it. Thank you. Good night. Our beautiful sister is in the back. She has CDs. If you guys want them, buy them, give them to your friends. Thank you, Miss Tamara Fuller, for the opportunity. We appreciate you. The microphone is yours.
That's Roman Street live at the Velvet Notes. All right, I know you guys can't wait to shake their hands, get their autographs. Yeah. Press up against them. Did I say that out loud? We have great shows every week. You can find them at thevelvetnote.com. This is what we love to do, which is to bring you closer to artists who inspire you, closer to each other, and closer to the song that's in your heart. Come and see us again. Good night. What are you looking forward to the most? Well, I thought I was going to have to get your attention.
No, you haven't.
Hello. Hello. Oh,
Addison, hello.
I know. Thank you. For a moment, I thought you guys had lost your way on the way to Waffle House. There's nothing happening out here. But this is the Velvet Now that we got that out of the way, the Velvet Note's a place where you can see and hear world-class musicians in a setting that's as intimate and as comfortable as your very own living room. We give you a chance to get to know the musicians and to hear the music the way that it was meant to be heard. This is a listening room. We had our acoustics designed by a protege of the Hollywood director George Lucas, under his guidance, to be the highest quality, unenhanced sound available today. And on June 3rd, we turned 11 years old. There are two bands in Velvet Note history who have performed here more than 5 times and sold every single seat in every single set. And one of them is here tonight. Noah and Josh Thompson hail from Mobile, Alabama, and yet they play such wonderful flamenco music. Two things you wouldn't quite put together on your own, but it's fabulous. Isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it is.
It's like going on vacation and you're sitting near the river behind your European castle with the flames flickering, and you're snuggling up close to someone like these people here are on the sofa. And there's a crisp breeze, and the music makes you feel so good. And ever since we got them the first time, we haven't let them go. They are joined tonight by Brian Morris on drums and by Quentin Ayers on bass. They have such a great compilation of music, some of which you've heard before, some of which will be new for you. I know that some of you come here just to hear Roman Street, right?
Yes.
Yes. Well, here's a PSA. We have other shows too. I thank you. My budget thanks you. I'll be standing here waiting for you. Put your hands together for Roman Street!
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. How's everybody this evening? Good? Welcome to the Velvet Note. My name is Noah, and I'll be your guitarist for the evening. One of the two guitarists for the evening.
I'm Josh. I'll be your other guitarist for the evening.
I'd like to start off with an original song. This is the very first song on our most recent project. It's called Find the Light. And I got the idea for this song we were playing at a historic fort. It's called Fort Morgan. For those of you who don't know, it's on I guess it's probably Alabama's only island. It's got to be the only island we have.
There's not many.
No, it's called Dolphin Island. But on the eastern end of that, there's a historic fort called Fort Morgan, and we do a sunset concert series there. And we were playing there a couple of years ago. And as I'm apt to do during the course of a set, I'm like looking around at the audience, looking at the faces. Usually while he's playing something amazing, I'm just kind of looking around, you know. And there was this lady, and she was looking at us, and she had this light in her face. Like, it was just, she was a beautiful woman, and she was happy to be where she was. I don't know, and it inspired this next song. It's called Find the Light.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Ooh, yeah. Cortado? Cortado.
This next one happens to be, I believe it's the favorite song of our bassist this evening. Is a man named Quentin Ayers from New Orleans, Louisiana. Fantastic bass player, even cooler guy. And he won't let us do a set with him without playing this song. So here it is. This is called Cortado.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This is called Mr. Morris. I love it. That's Quentin Ayers on the bass guitar from New Orleans, Louisiana, y'all. That's the maestro back there driving the bus from Mobile, Alabama, Mr. Brian Morris. He makes us all sound good, you know?
Okay, so I know what you're thinking. I thought this was a Roman Street show. What are they doing with electric guitars? What the hell is happening? So, I know, I can see it. I can feel it. See, that's too far. That is too far. Don't encourage that. Oh yeah, we can do it for sure.
Oh, I can do it now.
Yeah.
I'm a white dude from Alabama.
If you live in Alabama, you basically have to know how to play that. It's just part of the deal. But yeah, so like a fun thing that Noah and I have been doing recently is we've been picking 2 songs, not too many, but 2 songs out of our set and doing electric on. So that, so it's been fun for us. And a couple of our tracks, like our track Elizabeth, I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with that, but I actually recorded that with an electric. So we have some, some past of using that. So We're gonna do another one for you guys now. I think we didn't do this the first set, so this will be kind of an experiment for you guys. We're gonna do a Santana song called Europa.
I would like to send this one out to Thomas and Sharon Connell. They're sitting right here in the middle. They're the best people in the world, and they love us, and we love them back, and this is for you. like that, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Welcome. Is everybody good this evening? Yeah. You know they have the finest wine in the Velvet Nuts. Spare no expense. I have I've been partaking for about 2 hours now. Cheers to you. Welcome. First time, right? This is your first time?
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us. How many other people it's your first time to hear us play?
We're virgins.
Oh, not anymore. Cheers, y'all. Thank you for joining us.
So we're gonna do 2 brand new songs for y'all now. Is that okay? So both these songs are new. We just this next one we just released about 3 months ago, and I have to give a big shout out to our drummer Brian Morris because he wrote this next one. Yeah, he did.
Say something to the people.
Talk to me, Brian.
Well, y'all put me on the spot. Anyway, I have to tell you the story about this. It's been a long time. I've been creating music for the longest, and first of all, I have my nephew in the house. Y'all give it up for Rich, y'all. Give it up for Rich. This is my nephew. He needs to hear this story. But I've always wanted to, produce music and, bring my ideas to music and whatever. But I owe a lot to Noah and Josh because they gave me the opportunity to actually bring this idea to life. And actually, it did pretty good for us. And one thing I could truly say that, I'm thankful to God that I'm able to, play around these great musicians. Y'all give it up for Noah and Josh. Noah and Josh. Yes, indeed. But no, honestly, it's just amazing, just to be on this musical journey, and we really enjoy playing with each other. But my thing is, just to be able to create and play with different people and, put your ideas together. And I really thank these 2 gentlemen for making this situation happen for me. So the name of this song is Key to Paradise, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
This is a Brian Morris groove, everybody. Enjoy. This was top 25 Billboard nationwide now. Key to Paradise. He's got a beautiful mind, man. He makes cool stuff. I mean, he good looking too. And he's got the best hair in the band for sure. All right.
they go. So this next song is as new as it gets because this song actually came out today. Like 8 hours ago,
Like
this song
today.
came out. Yeah, so it's a new one that I came up with a couple years ago, and so whenever I come up with songs, the very first thing I do is I go to Noah and I play it for him and see what he thinks. And his reaction to this one was, I'll never forget. He said, "Dude, that sounds like something from like Zorro, like from like the TV show Zorro or movie." And I was like, "Well, that's not bad." And so we actually called this song Zorro for a long time. That was like the working title. And so I just renamed it last week. And the name I came up with is, we actually played down in the 30A area, like Destin, Florida area, and we draw a lot of inspiration from there. And so I ended up naming the song Santa Rosa Moon. So I hope you guys enjoy this one.
Yeah, that song was born today. That's right. One day old. Everybody good?
Thank you.
Okay, that's Josh Thompson right there. Pretty much all I did on that song was play a guitar solo, but I love it. Does anybody have any questions? Comments? I think request even? Bass.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. This is a great song. It's probably been covered a billion times, but it's originally by Consuelo Velasquez, a lovely South American composer, but this is called Bésame Mucho. It means kiss me a lot for us gringos in here.
Yep.
Ready? Oh, thank you.
Great request. I love
Yeah,
that
great
song.
request. Awesome. Yes.
Anybody else? Nothing?
Ooh,
Gypsy
Gypsy Jazz.
okay.
Okay, cool.
So this is a song that Josh and I learned, and I still to this day, I've been playing this song for about 20 years, and nobody's been able to tell me who composed it. I get conflicting stories. Some people say it's Russian. Some people say it's Gypsy. Some people say it's Polish. All I know is it's called Dark Eyes, and it's about as damn fast as I can play. And when Josh and I learned this song, we're the only two people in the room who didn't speak Swiss German. We knew about 5 chords and had about a bottle of wine, so we figured it out. But this is a song called Dark Eyes. Enjoy. Give me a moment. the time, Quinn Ayers. From Mobile, Alabama, my man, Mr. Brian Morris. Everybody, what? I feel like I can safely say we are the only band in Alpharetta, Georgia that can play you gypsy jazz tonight. And here you are. Thank you all for those requests. Those were fun. This is one of our original tunes. It's called Cinco. It's off of our it's on our Caravan album, right? Caravan? Turn it off. I believe this is on our, perhaps it's on our Bohemian album. But this one's called Cinco. Hope you guys enjoy it. You're welcome. Thank you for coming to the Velvet Note. We love it here. We appreciate Tamara and all of her fantastic staff for taking care of us. And all, yes, we look forward to this, and we hope that you'll come back and see us next time. For those of y'all not doing anything tomorrow, why don't y'all drive up to LJ and watch us? We are headlining the Blue Ridge Mountains Wine and Jazz Festival tomorrow. And I'm going to go a little bit crazy. It's going to be fun. But really, we appreciate you coming and spending your evening with us tonight. This one's called Cinco.
Thank you.
We enjoyed playing for you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tamara. Y'all have a great night. We have some CDs at the back. Our sister's in the back there, and she can hook you up with all the music you would ever want. Good night. Thank you again. See you next time.
Okay, so
One more song.
Just one more.
just one more song.
And then you sing one.
Nobody wants to hear that. Okay, here's the deal. You know these guys.
Yeah, we do.
They seem innocent. But they know their power.
One more song.
And if you want them to return to the stage,
Yes.
you are going to have to make an effort. I'm keeping my microphone.
Okay, one more. Maybe two more. I don't know. We may be here till like 1 or 2 in the morning. I don't know. All right. So, what are y'all feeling? You want a fast one, a slow one? We were
Hotel California.
done.
Something really long.
Hotel California is pretty long. I think that'll work. y'all. Thank y'all so much. Y'all are the best. Thank you.
Wait, Joshy. You gonna do one more?
I mean, sure, yeah, for sure.
I got one Stevie Wonder song in me if you want it. Last one is for the lady of the house.
We're going to do a Motown one for you guys now. This one's called I'll Be Around.
See if y'all recognize this one. I didn't even play my song. I thought it.
Anytime you want great music, we'll be around. Thank you for joining us. This is what we love to do, which is to bring you closer to artists who inspire you, closer to each other, and closer to the song that's in your heart. Come and see us again. Good night.